This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening, everyone. A 41-year-old Launceston father has died after losing control of his motorbike and colliding with a car. The incident occurred in West Launceston around 9 o'clock last night. Police are continuing to piece together what happened, but say speed may have been a factor.
Another life taken too soon. Police say the Summerhill man was riding his Yamaha motorbike south along Hillside Crescent when he lost control.
He's crossed onto the wrong side of the road and impacted into a Mercedes sedan coming the other way.
Paramedics attended the scene and rushed the man to hospital. He died a short time later.
The road conditions were quite good. We're currently looking at whether speed might have been a factor. We can't confirm that, but it appears that it may be.
A man and woman in the Mercedes were physically uninjured but were shaken. Last night's incident isn't the only motorcycle crash to occur along this stretch of road. In September last year, another rider received non-life-threatening injuries when he also crossed into the wrong lane, colliding with oncoming traffic.
The key message we're trying to get out to all motorcyclists is slow down, obey the road rules, make sure you're wearing the correct protective equipment and ride for your safety.
Initial investigations reveal last night's rider was unlicensed and the motorbike wasn't registered. A report is now being prepared for the coroner. The fatality takes the state's road toll to 29 for the year. 10 of those involved motorbikes.
Fatal crashes are just a tragedy for the whole community. They affect not only the people directly, they affect the emergency service workers who have to attend, they affect the witnesses to these crashes as well. Let's all take responsibility for our actions on the road.
Emergency services were also called to another crash on St Leonard's Road around 8:30 this morning. One person received non-life-threatening injuries. Anyone with information about either incident is asked to contact Crime Stoppers. Monica Dadson, Southern Cross News.
And in Hobart this afternoon, a multiple vehicle crash has left one person fighting for life and another in a serious condition. The Brooker Highway collision grinding traffic to a halt for several hours.
The crumpled remains of the two cars involved in a head-on crash this afternoon. Emergency services were called to the serious collision on the corner of Elwick Road and the Brooker Highway just before 3 o'clock.
At the moment, our crash investigation team will be surveying the scene and we'll be doing further investigations in regards to what caused the accident.
The drivers of both cars were rushed to hospital by ambulance, with the female driver of the white car having to be rescued by the jaws of life. It is understood the woman suffered a medical condition causing her to lose control. Witnesses to this crash say the female driver crossed over this intersection, crashing into the cars in her path. Tasmania Police says there was heavy traffic waiting at the intersection's lights at the time of the crash and 6 cars were smashed into.
The weather was fine at the time. The road was fairly heavy.
The collision caused Hobart traffic to grind to a halt, with a gridlock reaching as far as the city centre. Traffic in the area remains congested, police advising motorists to consider taking another course home. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
The state government is being accused of a cover-up by the opposition after refusing to release the contract details of the former TasTAFE CEO. Stephen Conway received a $188,000 payout despite serious misconduct allegations. It's frustrating the education union with increasing pressure on an under-resourced workforce.
A hefty contract payout for the former CEO of TasTAFE, Stephen Conway, landing a $188,000 termination benefit despite stepping down on allegations of serious misconduct.
$188,000 is a lot of money. I accept that, but I did not sign the contract.
Today's TasTAFE annual report reveals Mr Conway received almost $500,000 in wages and benefits. In May, an Integrity Commission investigation found he gave favourable financial and career advantages to his deputy CEO, allegations sparking an independent audit into TasTAFE recruitment and procurement.
Minister, can you detail the clause that required you to pay $188,000 to disgraced TasTAFE CEO, Mr Stephen Conway?
This is the contract signed by the Premier Lara Giddings in the Labor Green government for Mr Conway, which is why the $188,000 has been paid out.
The opposition accusing the minister of a cover-up by failing to table the contract in Parliament.
If this government thought that it could hang its hat on the provisions of the contract to get out of any blame for paying $188,000, they'd have tabled it today. In fact, they'd have tabled it earlier.
It should have a clause in it which pertains to misconduct. Until we see that contract, we won't know. But under the State Services Act, you must act with integrity.
It's frustrating the Education Union as staff are stretched throughout the state.
I go through the TAFE campuses and people are working on the side of their desks, they're not stopping for lunch. Drysdale staff are overloaded down there.
Staff remaining in the dark about the independent audit and now concerning contract details. Hopes new CEO Jenny Dodd will provide a pathway forward.
To allow the employees to move forward and the whole organisation, they need to be open and transparent.
It's important that the employees of TasTAFE get a clear indication that there is certainty ahead.
Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
Convicted double murderer Stephen Roy Standish has had his last bid for freedom rejected in Hobart's Supreme Court. Mr Standish's lawyers appealed his conviction on the grounds that evidence shown in the trial was a miscarriage of justice. Louise Hedger has the details.
It remains Tasmania's longest-running murder trial, with 5 months of sittings here at Tasmania's highest criminal court. In August 2014, a jury made up of 10 men and 2 women unanimously found Stephen Standish guilty of the murders of Ronald Jarvis in 1992 and John Thorne in 2006. In handing down his sentence, Justice Stephen Escort said he was satisfied both murders were premeditated and committed in cold blood. Mr Standish was sentenced for 48 years in prison. Today, Mr Standish appeared at Hobart's Supreme Court to hear whether his last-ditch appeal was successful. His lawyers had appealed on the grounds the trial miscarried because certain evidence provided was said to be prejudicial. That evidence was content from numerous conversations between Mr Standish and undercover police officers who were posing as his criminal associates. Justice Helen Wood handed down the judgment this morning, saying it was unanimously dismissed by 3 judges who had considered the submissions. Today's development is the end of the road for Mr Standish's bid for freedom. He will spend the majority of his years at Risdon Prison and won't be eligible for parole until 2034.
There are renewed calls for parents to check the safety of their child's car seat and hand in faulty ones. RACT today making an example of restraints older than 10 years. The organisation says the seats may no longer meet safety standards due to degenerating materials.
The outcome could be catastrophic, and that's the worrying thing. So it's all about education, it's all about safety, it's all about making sure your most precious cargo stays that way.
RACT says car seats handed in as part of its campaign will be destroyed or used in emergency service training. A Devonport man has been arrested and charged after he allegedly barricaded himself inside a house armed with a chainsaw. Police say they were called to the Victoria Street property at around 6 o'clock last night. Officers cordoned off the residence and reportedly entered into a standoff which lasted 5 hours. It's alleged the 47-year-old man threw glass bottles at police during the incident. Officers gained entry to the home at around 11 o'clock and the man was arrested. He's been charged with destroying property, assault and threatening police. The man has been bailed to appear in the Devonport Magistrates Court in December. A Tasmanian manufacturing company has landed a multi-million-dollar defence contract. Life Raft Systems Australia will provide the Royal British Navy with marine evacuation systems. The $3 million deal helping create an extra 13 local jobs for the Derwent Park firm.
The contract will be delivered between 2021 and 2025, so it's a good long-term contract. We're very excited about it. We feel privileged to be working with such an astute and famous defence contractor.
There are other naval shipbuilding programs in the UK that obviously the last two major programs that we've built, LSA has been successful on. We would expect them to be right in the mix on future programs as well.
The company is already supplying the United Kingdom's Navy aircraft carriers as well as US Navy vessels. More than 1,000 Tasmanian students joined 500,000 others across the country today. The Count Us In movement is Australia's biggest music gig and an attempt to encourage our youngest voices to develop a passion for music.
The sweet sound of song is more than 500,000 students across the country banded together. It's the sing-along that unites the nation, with a sea of students across 3,000 schools singing the same song.
It's a song that is learnt by over 650,000 children all over Australia, that is sung on the same day at the same time.
The aim to encourage youth to develop a passion for music.
It's just showing how important music is and how fun it is, and that it's accessible to absolutely everyone at whatever level.
For Grade 2 Hutchins students Bill Giddings and Ashlyn Harris, the sing-along is a chance to socialise outside the classroom.
And I think it's a good opportunity to get to know other people and get to know classmates better.
Count Us In is an annual celebration which includes every corner of the country. Rita Risk, Southern Cross News.
As the Tasmanian Art Award at Escley reaches a 25-year milestone, a special exhibition has been put on to celebrate. The Queen Victoria Museum and Art Gallery hosting the Escley Art Collection exhibition, which officially opens tonight. Works from winning artists from the past 25 years put on show.
Here who were totally unknown when they won this event have now gone on to great futures and improved their worth and their capability.
The event is part of Escley's 70th anniversary celebrations. Young Tasmanians impacted by cancer are encouraged to apply for Cancer Council scholarships to help with the cost of education. The Seize the Day scholarships aim to help young students between 16 and 25 further their education. Former recipient Justine Hames turned to the Cancer Council for help after her mother passed away from ovarian cancer just months before her 18th birthday.
After my mum passed away, I didn't have any sort of support, and so when I received the scholarship, it allowed me to pay for accommodation on the university campus, and without that I would have had to have a job, and we all know it's hard enough just doing university.
The program has been running for 12 years, giving close to $300,000 to 240 Tasmanians.
So it could help them with travel, accommodation, books, computers, and it's a really wonderful scholarship, and it's a wonderful time in people's lives, and we want to be there to help them with their education.
Anyone interested in applying can contact Cancer Council Tasmania. Now look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The share market's rise to its highest level in nearly a decade has stalled as investors sold off National Australia Bank shares despite the bank's profit growth. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 6.1 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 77.1 US cents and 66.2 euro cents.
Former Kingborough Tigers coach Aaron Vince has confirmed he's parting ways with the club effective immediately. Vince was on the list of candidates for the club's 2018 head coaching gig, but after former North Hobart assistant Trent Bomella was given the job, Vince says he feels the best decision for himself and the club is to leave. He took over as Tigers coach after Scott Matheson was suddenly sacked 2 weeks out from the 2017 season, and says he's undecided as to what he'll do next year, but may consider a role with one of the other TSL clubs. And following an uncertain time for North Hobart, the club has finally appointed the man to lead them forward next TSL season, with former player and assistant coach Richard Robinson offered a 12-month head coaching contract with the New Look side. After the mass exodus of the entire board, and with former assistant coach Trent Bomella defecting to Kingborough as the Tigers' new head coach, North Hobart held a meeting with players last night, urging them to stick together.
There was a bit of a concern coming into the meeting last night. You're just not sure what everyone wants to do, but there was a really good vibe after the meeting and the announcement last night, so I'm confident that the majority of the playing group will still be here.
Robinson was also officially announced as the new coach at the meeting after acting as assistant at the club for the past 2 years.
Being North Hobart, I suppose there's a bit of romance about it. Like, I spent many years here playing, spent years here coaching, so I've grown up here from underage, so I'm just rapt that I've been given an opportunity at this level.
He understands what makes people tick, and he will be a very fine leader for our footy club, and we're delighted with the appointment.
Robinson also addressing rumours that several key players, including Ryan Matthews and Will Campbell, would be tempted to follow Bomella to the Tigers.
Well, it's the unwritten law that if you leave the club, you don't take anyone with you, so hopefully Trent follows through with that. I mean, Trent's a good character, and I'm sure he won't be trying to take people from the footy club.
He says his first priority in the top job is to talk to the current playing group one by one and assure them that the future looks bright under the North Hobart banner before appointing his team of assistants. The club begins pre-season at the end of the month. Tigers paceman Sam Rainbird is hoping to cement his spot in the squad with another solid performance with the ball in Saturday's clash with the Bulls at Blunston. But with James Faulkner getting close to a return, Rainbird says he and his teammates are well aware they can't afford to slip up. Rainbird's form with the ball was one of the few positives in the side's history-making loss to WA at the Wacker last week, with the Quick taking 2 for 79 in the first innings and 3 for 47 in the second.
Feeling pretty good. Had a good game personally, I think. Ball came out nicely. It was good to get a few wickets and, contribute.
But it's not enough to justify a permanent spot in the side, according to Rainbird, with James Faulkner likely to return back from injury in the next month or so.
The last couple of years I've been in and out a little bit, and this year, starting in the team this year, I didn't start last year, looking, to try and continue that form on and stay in the team.
And despite having that now infamous batting collapse attached to the side's name, Rainbird says the group is buying into new coach Adam Griffith's plan, with the side desperate to bounce back in their first home shield game for the season, but that'll be easier said than done against the Bulls.
Very, very skilled outfit, especially when they've got Renshaw and Kawaja back in that top order. Got some really good bowlers. Ness has been in great form. Doggett had a great debut game. We've definitely changed a lot of things with mindset and a bit more positivity around the group, so we're trying to not let things get us too down.
Ben McDermott is racing the clock to be ready in time for Saturday's match after sustaining a hand injury against the Warriors, while Simon Malenko and Tim Payne won't be selected after being named in the CA11 squad to face England in upcoming tour matches in Adelaide and Townsville.
Good evening. A cool one today. Hobart only 14 degrees. Launceston and Burnie the state's high with just 17. Devonport 16. Temperatures up to 6 degrees below average as that colder southwesterly airstream hit the state with scattered showers. Scottsdale the top fall today with 6 millimetres. Strawn and Friendly Beaches 15 degrees. St Helens, Bushy Park and the Islands 14. Lowhead 13. Grove 12. And Lyreweenie the overnight low with -2. A high level cloud band is over Tasmania, extending south of the Bight and across to Western Australia. There's also that low in the Tasman with the spiralling cloud there and some low cloud to our north over southeastern Victoria. Mostly low-level convective cloud over us today with that high-level cloud streaming above. Tomorrow, a cold front pushes over Tasmania as a low develops to our east. A high-pressure system sits south of the Bight. West to northwest winds at 15 to 20 knots with more variable winds over the southeast. They'll become more west-southwesterly during the day, increasing to 25 to 30 knots in the north and west. So we do have a strong wind warning for all Tasmanian coastal waters, a small craft wind alert for the lakes, a bushwalkers alert for the western and central plateau districts, and a warning to sheep graziers for the northwest coast, the Midlands, east coast and southeast, and a road weather alert for snow on elevated roads above 600 metres. And showers for Hobart, 15 the top, 15 also for Campania, Huonville, same forecast but 14 degrees. Launceston showery, 16 the top. Afternoon showers for Devonport and Georgetown with 15 degrees. Burnie tomorrow, shower or two becoming windy, 15, 13 for Strawn and 15 for Wynyard with that similar forecast, and showers increasing in the east. St Helens 17, Swansea 15, windy 2 for Port Arthur and 14 degrees. UV though sits at a high 7 everywhere tomorrow. On Saturday, a few showers extending over most regions, mostly easing in the evening with possible hail in the south and that westerly airstream again. Fine on Sunday apart from the chance of a shower over the far southwest in the evening and showers over the west and possibly the south on Monday. Sunny and 28 in Perth tomorrow, a shower in Melbourne, a late shower in Sydney, morning showers in Brisbane and a top there of 29 degrees and 35 for Alice Springs and Darwin.
Thank you, Murph. That's all from the team for now. Thanks so much for your company this evening. Have a great one. Good night.